Hello everyone, James Wilson here, and today we're going to do a Senate prediction video. Based on a lot of stuff, I'm going to make a prediction. So let's go ahead and get started here. So the first state I come up with is state of Florida, because I want to explain to you how I'm doing this. I'm looking at the polls, I'm looking at the Target Smart data, I'm looking at all of that. And I'm doing it based on the data. And so without further ado, I'm going to get started with this real quick. So Florida is a great example to get started on how I'm going to do this. So when you look at the actual numbers, you will see, and the way I do this, I do it compared to 2020 by percentage. We all know that midterm elections are different than presidential elections. Not as many people are going to show up to vote. So I like to, when I look at this, I look at 2020 numbers compared to 2022. I'll also look at 2018 and see if there's a trend. And when you look at this, you'll see you have more Republican in 2018, then it's more balanced, and then way more Republican in 2022. Rubio is also leading in the polls. So this is an easy call, okay? That's how I'm doing it. So, and I only like doing solid colors. So there you go. Solid red right there. For Marco Rubio. Right now, the Democrats and Republicans are tied. So I'm just going to go through the list here, and I'm going to go through some of these states that make more sense to go over first. So the state of Colorado, for example, when you look at the Target Smart data in the state of Colorado, you will see that more Democrats vote than Republicans. It's close compared to last time, but last time Trump lost by 15 points. So I'm kind of guessing it's going to be something similar, 10 to 15 point loss for the Republicans. So this is an easy call. So and they're down on the polls by about that much. So that goes Democrat. Okay, so let's look at the state of Iowa. When you look at the polling in the state of Iowa, you got to look at the polls as well. I look at everything. I try to look at everything. So in the state of Iowa, it's not on there. Okay, well, they probably don't consider contested. So let's take a look at Iowa here, because I like to look at all the states. The Democrats actually dominating big time. Okay, dominating big time. But I know as a fact, the Republicans, right there, the Republicans are leading the polls. And Trump won the state. So here's the deal, folks. If Trump won the state, I'm going to go Republican. I don't care. If Trump won the state in 2020, then the Republicans are going to win that seat. So I'm just going to jump right into this real quick. So Iowa, Utah, North Carolina, Ohio, all Republican, period. It's not going to be more of a blue wave than it was in 2020. I can just tell you based on what's going on now. Now we can get deep, we can dig really deep here. So let's look at Washington. So Washington, top Senate races. When you look at the state of Washington, Smiley, and I heard Smiley. She's solid. She's tough as a rock. I like her, but this is Washington. The polls are tight. So let's look at the Target Smart data here. Okay, you gotta look at everything. So you look at the Target Smart data in Washington. Democrats are dominating big time. Okay, percentage-wise, even compared to the last time. When you look at 39 and 55, okay, 39 and 55, 32 and 55 here. There's more Democrats voting, a higher percentage of Democrats voting compared to Republicans. So this is an easy call for me. This is Washington. Okay. Smiley is going to lose because people are stupid. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here. So I'm going to move on to New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a state that I thought could go red. Let me take a look here. All right, so when you take a look at New Hampshire, no data for 2018. You know, it's actually kind of closer. This could go red. This could go red. But you got to look at a percentage basis here. So the Democrats lost about a point, and Republicans gained 4 points. So that's actually pretty interesting. As I said, I haven't looked at this. I'm actually doing this live on this video. This is the first time looking at it. So when you go into the top Senate races, when you look at the state of New Hampshire, Hassan's winning by, it's kind of close. It's close. It could go either way, Trump lost it by 8 points. I think Trump lost it by 8 points. I think Trump lost it by 8. So if he lost it by 8, I know the Republican. It's gonna be close, man. It's gonna be so close, but I don't have confidence in it, honestly. I really don't. But I think it's going to be determined. I think the polls are accurate. I think it's going to be a point or two for Democrats. I really do. Now you're looking at these states here. Look at Wisconsin. Let's take a look at Wisconsin real quick. We're only 5 away from making a prediction here. So you take a look at Wisconsin. Let's see, Wisconsin. Democrats outdo Republicans, but not by much. Actually, no, I take that back. Republicans dominated last time in 2020 in the early voting. Republicans dominated. Republicans dominated in 2018 as well. This is very interesting. So I take a look at the polls. Wisconsin, Arizona, and Georgia are all states that Trump lost by less than a half a point. So you got to take a look at everything. Wisconsin. Republicans actually winning this. And as I said, I'm trying to be non-biased as a prediction. The Republicans are actually winning the polls. If you take a look at the polls in the past, they heavily favor the Democrats. Let's take a look at 2016 as a prime example. Johnson won. But when you look at it, Feingold was ahead. And it's a 6.1% swing to the right as far as the polling is concerned. So even if they have the polls accurate, the Republican still wins. I think maybe more of them are going to vote. It's the governor. Maybe more people are going to vote during the election. But these numbers are very interesting, okay, because the Democrats are up by 3. But in 2020, the Republicans were up. It doesn't make any sense to me, not at all. but since the polling is off in Wisconsin, typically, I'm going to give Johnson the win. I think I'm confident enough that Johnson can pull this one off. So now we go to the state of Pennsylvania. Oz and Fetterman. We talked about this many times. Let's take a look at the Target Smart data here. Okay, look at this. This is interesting. Look at the numbers. The Democrats are outvoting Republicans big time in the state of Pennsylvania. They're outvoting big time, percentage-wise. Now, Red Eagle's going to say, well, yeah, but the sheer amount of voting is a lot more in 2020 than it is now. There's a lot less votes. Well, yeah, but there's going to be a lot less votes for Republicans too. There's going to be a lot less votes for Republicans. They have a get out to vote campaign in Pennsylvania. I don't feel I felt more confident. I felt more confident in the. But man, since it's like a huge difference here, Trump lost the state by 1.2%, and you're looking at 30 to 62. That's a 32% different in favor of the Democrats in 2020. In 2022, you're looking at about 45%, folks. That's huge. That's huge. Yeah. And Fetterman had a poor debate performance. Oh, this is tough. This is a tough call. I'm going to skip this one for now and move to Nevada. Nevada does theirs by mail, but you can still go in to vote. Okay, so Nevada, Democrats have a lead there too. Okay. And it's not by much, but it's bigger than before. You look at it before, it's it's a 2.5% lead for the Democrats versus 4%. Oh man. I don't. Yeah, that's a tough call. When you're looking at the projections here, let's take a look at Nevada. Laxalt has a 6 and a 5-point lead. That's pretty solid all around. I'll go with Laxalt, but I'm not very confident in it. It's very close. So Trump lost by 2.5 percentage points. There's a lot less voting. I'll go with it. I'm not very confident in the pick because I feel that according to Target Smart, it's a lot different. When you look at this here and what percentage of people voted. But you know what? I'll go with it. I'll go with it. I'm not entirely confident in the pick, but I'll go with it since the polling has Laxalt up by 5 and 6 points. That's pretty substantial in my opinion. This year is actually fairly close, anyways. If more Republicans just vote, they can vote it out and offset it. So I'll go with the Republican winning Nevada. Let's move on to Arizona. Arizona's Masters against the astronaut guy. Let's see here. Kelly against Masters. Now you take a look at the polls. Last time, McSally was down in the polls by 5.7%, but she only lost by 2.4. So that's a difference of 3.3 in favor of the Republicans, even though the Republicans lost. I find that very interesting. Let's take a look at the Target Smart data here, because that can tell you even more of a story on that. And so, let's see, this is for Arizona. Okay, so Arizona, the Republicans have a 4 point, or maybe a 3.5 point lead, but their lead has shrunk. When you look at the actual numbers, the Democrats have gained and the Republicans have declined when you look at the actual lead. Remember, folks, it's an off-year election. There's not going to be as much voting. I can't rely on the fact that way more of a percentage of Republicans are going to show up this time. I'm just looking at based on early vote data, based on the polls, based on everything. That's how I make a prediction. Sure, more Republicans can show up and vote, but you got to look at, you don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. All I can tell you is that Kelly had a substantial lead. He still has a lead of 1.0. Not much. But Masters has never led a poll. Now, if you go based on the polling error last time, Masters should win this one by about a point or two. However, if you look at the Target Smart data, you will see that more, even though more Republicans are voting in this one, it's shrunk. The lead has shrunk. So, since Masters never led in a poll, I'm gonna give this to the Democrat. I'm gonna give this to the Democrat, just because I just don't. I listened to the debate as well. He's robotic. Masters was a little robotic and a little stiff. And I just don't see him winning, folks. It's going to be close. It's going to be within a point or two. I just don't see him winning. So I'm going to give that to the Democrats. So next, let's go ahead and take a look at the state of Georgia. Now, Georgia can have a runoff, which is entirely possible. I really hope that does not happen. Especially if it's a 50-49 situation. And you know how that's going to turn out, right? Walker's ahead by 0.4%. Let's take a look at last time. Warnock won by 1.6%. And the polling was off by about a point, 1.1%. That was because it was a runoff and the Democrats were gaining steam and they did everything in the book to get this guy to win. Ballot harvesting up the rears, and that's why the Democrats had a higher thing in the poll. But you know what? I don't know how they're voting. Let's take a look at how they're voting. Let's take a look at one of the things that I want to look at for Georgia is I'd like to take a look at the difference in like, let's compare Georgia and Florida, for example. Okay, and I got to do a little bit of a calculation if I want to make a good, solid prediction. I will say this, more Democrats are voting. This is not a good sign, folks. Look at this here. Okay, so 3.23 million and two. Okay, I'm gonna do a percentage here because this is very, very interesting. This is interesting here. Divide that by 3, 9, 2, 3, 4, 4, 9. Almost 64% of the voting and raw data for 2022 compared to 2020. Let's take a look at Florida because this is interesting to me. So 64% of the voting in 2022. Let me take a look at Florida here. Okay, 86, 34, okay. 45, 16, okay. 52%. Okay, this is not good, folks. Okay, so when you're looking at the data, in the midterm elections, Florida was at 52%. So 48% less voting so far. 48% less voting, but in Georgia, it's 36% less voting. So that means a higher percentage of people in Georgia are voting compared to Florida. That's not a good sign for Republicans because Georgia is solid. I mean, Florida's doing solid Republican. I mean, let's take a look at a state like Ohio, for example. Let's take a look at Ohio. Ohio is, wow, look at that, less than 50%. You see that? When you look at Georgia, you see there's way more voting as far as a percentage difference. So this is going to come in handy, right? This is going to come in handy. Arizona now. Let's take a look at Arizona. 14. Let's see here, because now I'm coming on this. This is live. I haven't really looked at this. 59%. Not quite as high as Georgia, but pretty high. You see that? Let's take a look at and more Democrats. You look, the Democrats have a bigger lead compared to last time. I mean, the Republican lead has shrunk. Let's take a look at Nevada. Pretty high. It's over 50%. This is very interesting, folks. Mississippi, nothing. Because they actually vote in person with a photo ID. New Hampshire. New Hampshire is very low. I think this could go Republican, actually. I think New Hampshire can actually go Republican. More so than, let's say, Arizona. Looking at this data, I think so. Actually, I think so. I think that's very interesting. But why would New Hampshire go? You know what? Yeah, let's do this. I'm gonna make this interesting. I'm gonna make this very, very interesting. I'm gonna say that it goes Republican. I'm gonna say New Hampshire goes Republican, just based on how they vote and based on these numbers here. Yeah, I think I'll go Republican now. I'm kind of feeling it now. Let's see here, and yeah, so Republicans win the Senate because of New Hampshire. And call me crazy, I think Georgia's going to go Democrat, and Pennsylvania because let's take a look at Pennsylvania again because I remember I said I was going to take a look at that later. Let's take a look at that real quick. I know this video is going a little bit too long. Pennsylvania. Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, it is less. Okay, so this is interesting. Not as many voting, though. Okay, so that's actually good. I'm going to give it to Oz. I'm going to give this to Dr. Oz because the numbers are not, the total numbers of vote is less than 50%. And that's actually pretty good. I mean, Fetterman's debate was absolutely horrendous. I think Fetterman's debate was actually horrendous. I think it was terrible. And when you look at the polls, Oz is up in the polls. So yeah, I'm barely, but this was an anomaly. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 polls that Oz is up, and then this here, this isn't accurate. I'm giving this to Oz. He'll probably win by 1 to 2 points. Surprise. New Hampshire. Surprise, surprise. 52-48 Republican. Yeah. And I'm doing it based on the numbers. I'm doing it based on, and this is just a shot in the dark here, New Hampshire. Democrats probably should win this, but I'm giving it to Republicans based on the numbers of votes that are coming back, and based on a lot of things. Go back to New Hampshire. Let's see. Yeah, see, when you look at this, it's Democrats are losing in New Hampshire. I'm just going to go with the data. Democrats are losing in New Hampshire. Republicans have been up in the polls before a couple of times, even if it's just a point. And I believe that, and when you look at the total amount of votes, it's way less than 50%. It's more like maybe closer to 25 to 30%, which is great for Republicans because it shows that they're not stuffing ballot boxes. See, what I'm afraid of in Georgia, they're stuffing ballot boxes again. They're doing their crap that they did before. And when you look at these numbers are very, very high. I'm interested in Michigan. Well, the Michigan's another video. But yeah, I don't think Walker's going to win. Not with these numbers. No. No. All right, so this is an interesting call. Okay, because I don't think anyone has had this call before. No one has said New Hampshire's going to go red, but Georgia's going to go blue. No one's going to say Arizona and Georgia blue, New Hampshire red. No one's going to say that, but I'm going to say it on this channel. Like and subscribe to my channel. Any comments would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Bye-bye.